Michigan for an audience of 12 people. And show business being what it is these days, it's probably where you'll see me next. There's so much history here in the Ed Sullivan Theater, and we've been honored to have been just a small part of it. Nichols and May played on the stage. The Beatles made their American debut here. And this is true. Backstage, Elvis used the bathroom and didn't die.
And then, of course, Paul McCartney, probably the most famous person to ever play there, then came back to close it out, which is a pretty nice way to end the whole thing. You say goodbye, I say hello. A great sentiment.
Absolutely. I'm very. I woke up this morning profoundly sad. I've had a front row to late night television my entire life, and it's such a part of my family's history. A late night talk started in 1954 with Steve Allen, and I don't think people understand what a cultural touchstone it is. It's what you were saying earlier, and Brian was saying earlier. It's what we call a day and date show, which we're losing so many of, which is something happens during the day and you talk about it that night, not necessarily in a news fashion. It's where you get your entertainment tonights and Access Hollywood. And so much of comedy is is comedians talking about what's going on in culture in real time. Comedians are really the social historians of us, of all of us. During the anti-war, you had Lenny Bruce talking about it. You had my mom being the first one to talk openly about women's issues. So you can track social history through this. And one of the big chunks is the late night space. And it pains me because I really do genuinely feel, and I get very esoteric and academic about other reasons, I feel like this is the first domino to fall. And I personally, I've been so upset about this all day. I mean, I can read you the list of the greats who have hosted late night. You've got Steve Allen, Jack Hart, Johnny Carson, Jay Leno, Conan, Jimmy, David Letterman, Seth Meyers, obviously Stephen Colbert. You remember Tom Snyder, Craig Kilborn, Craig Ferguson, James Corden, obviously Kimmel, Jon Stewart, Trevor Noah, and my mother, who broke the glass ceiling in late night. I mean, think of the level of talent and the commentary through comedy that these people have provided. And we lost it. We lost one tonight.
You call this the beginning of the end. And I'm thinking about it, it's not just a political aspect, which is obviously an important thing, but what your mom did, what Johnny did, what Jay did, what Dave Letterman did, they introduced comedians, but they also introduced actors. They introduced some academics. They introduced people to America. And then we had a shared relationship with that person because we had a shared culture. Just like we read the same newspaper, we watched the same TV shows. So there were shared facts. We may have different opinions, we may have different reactions to it, but at least we're getting shared facts. And now we're in this echo chamber, algorithmically driven, and that's really bad for our country. At least I feel like it is.
It's really bad. And the thing is, within the late night space, if you didn't like one person, you could find another. Everybody had their version of late night commentary. The problem is, and this is going to become a much bigger discussion about why is this happening in linear TV. So the late night shows have to post about what's coming up on their show. So basically, by the time the show goes on the air, we've seen the best bits, and you can watch it tomorrow. So that's a whole separate discussion about where we are in the media. But as far as the late night institution, it is an art form, and I hate the word art form, that is so quintessentially American. That's what we did. That was our communal experience. It's like what you said. The next day, people would talk about it. And it became something that the country, in one way or another, experienced together. And like I said, I've had a front row seat to late night and the goings on in late night, good, bad, or indifferent. I've seen every side of it. And this, I don't think people realize tonight, by losing the entire late night franchise, not just Stephen Colbert, think this is a moment we're going to look back and say, we were starting to read the writing on the wall. And yes, these are financially incredibly expensive shows, but they're also the tent pole shows. They're the biggest stars on the networks.
Right.
And it's so frustrating because comedy is the social barometer of what is happening in the world. And we've lost someone who spoke to it, whether you liked him or didn't like him. Everyone had their person, and I think Super Deep is also going to affect the morning programming because there are studies that show in the old days, whatever you watched at night, you watched in the morning.
Right.
So that's a whole different. We can talk about that another time. But
yeah.
I mean, that's all. I can go way down a really,
Me
you know,
too.
existential
And CBS is struggling there too, is a whole other thing. But no,
It's a whole other thing.
yeah.
But I think we've shut down part of the conversation, and part of it is our own doing with social media and with the way we now consume media, and part of it is also our lack of continuity. We're all so fast to change, we lose the continuity,
Yeah.
and as part of the group experience, and that for me is so disheartening. It's like I'm feeling like another piece of the fabric of my family's history being torn away. And I know that's very dramatic, and it's not about me, but I don't think I'm the only one that feels that way. It's like losing a friend.
Yeah. Well, we know the good news is we're not losing Stephen Colbert, and I'm sure he's going to be incredibly successful with whatever he does next. And we've seen that with other folks like Conan O'Brien, who's been very, very successful in different spaces and very happy in there. And last thought, real quickly, Melissa, because we're out of time.
I heard he is going to be working on the script of the next Lord of the Rings.
Yes, he is.
Apparently, he's a super fan, and that is what he's going to be doing, which is great. Good for him.
Yeah. Well, Melissa, thank you. Of course, your mother, one of the most important parts of late night history. And if you want to laugh tonight later, go onto YouTube and watch some highlights of her, because she was one of the best to ever do it. Thank you so much, Melissa. Appreciate it. It's just after 1 o'clock in the morning in Washington, where Senate Republicans are